Tabletop Spotlight, brought to you by Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy. Hey everyone, I'm AdamHarry from Bella Souls with
Michael from Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy.
And we're back with another Tabletop Spotlight. Michael, got some Dragon Age goodies today, huh?
Yes, I am a huge fan of Dragon Age.
Me too,
so
me too.
I wanted to bring by a couple of Dragon Age products, the core rulebook here,
cool.
And the brand new Game Master screen.
Oh, it just came out, right?
Just came out, brand new product, so I wanted to bring those by and show them off.
Well, thanks for bringing them both by. We haven't really covered this one before, so
yeah.
I'm pretty pumped to get in there and see what exactly is up with the Dragon Age RPG.
Yeah, I know we've covered like D&D and some Pathfinder maybe before, but this is sort of a different system, a little different from the D20 system, so I want to show that off.
BioWare, their whole stuff. So let's go check it out. Let's take a look inside this cool looking book. All right, so we've got the Dragon Age core rulebook here, and also the DM screen, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We already cheated, and I took the plastic wrap off this. I'm gonna move this aside.
Blame him
for now.
I wanted to keep it on so you guys could see it, but
that's right.
Let's take a look at this book here. As you can see, it's got the nice fancy glossy art cover.
This is a big book too.
Yeah, it's pretty hefty. I really enjoy the design, by the way, the art design they've done for this. It's got a lot of great artwork.
And you can see here it is fully licensed from BioWare EA. So this is like backed by the writers.
Yeah, this is published by Green Ronin.
Okay.
And you may have seen them actually. I don't know if anyone watched Tabletop.
Okay.
But the publisher Chris Pramus was on there, and he ran a game for Will Wheaton and this.
Oh, sweet. Yeah.
That was the old edition. This is the new edition, sort of with some updated ruling.
Okay.
A lot more content.
Talking about the rules real quick. It's a Green Ronin system, but what is that based off of dice-wise?
It works off of their adventure game engine, the Age system is what it's called, and it's a 3d6 system.
Okay.
So no d20s, it's all 3d6, and there might be occasional like small rules that use other dice, but the majority of it's 3d6s.
So if you have some d6s at home,
which most everyone does,
then you can totally play in the Age system. And this is the Dragon Age.
Yeah, and this is also what their Titan's Grave book runs off of.
Okay.
That they did that show for in Geek and Sundry. They run that off of the Age system as well.
Just throwing that out here, then could you combine the two systems if you wanted to get wacky?
Theoretically, you could. I can't imagine you would maybe want to. It doesn't make a ton of sense, but you probably could.
All right, well, let's back up a little bit. We've got the core rulebook here. Let's talk about Dragon Age real quick. This is, of course, based off the video game series. Is this particular book based off of any particular timeline, or where would you say this kind of picks up?
Well, the old edition was based more in the Dragon Age Origins era, sort of with the Fifth Blight and all the things that happened in that game.
Right.
This came out, I think, right around the release of Inquisition a little while ago.
Okay.
So it's not necessarily set during Inquisition, but it sort of assumes a knowledge of the entire franchise as opposed to just the one game.
Okay.
So you can use it for any sort of period of the Dragon Age.
Okay, cool. And then we've got, I'm just flipping through here, we've got basically some of the abilities and stuff like that, stat-wise.
This is the part I really like, is that you, in character creation, you get all sorts of different backgrounds and stuff. And so if you got the map here of the region, basically, where the games take place, and you can be from any number of places. The Ander Mountains, you can be an elf in a city alienage, all sorts of stuff. You can be swashbucklers, dwarves, all sorts of things.
And this is kind of interesting too, because if you're not familiar with Dragon Age, it kind of turns the whole dwarf, elf, human mechanic kind of on its ear a little bit.
Yeah, there's some trope busting going on.
Yeah. There's a lot of different racial tensions going on. And
it's really interesting. And one of the things I really enjoy about the system is, we'll get to it, I'm sure, in a little bit here, but the class system is vastly simplified. There's only 3 classes.
Skip ahead to that.
The classes that you can choose are going to be Mage, Rogue, and Warrior, but within them, each has 8 to 10 different specializations you can choose. So
kind of like the games.
Yeah, kind of. So if you're a warrior, you can be, a berserker, or you can be a Templar, with a rage power or a sort of a divine magic power.
Right.
A lot like other fantasy RPGs.
Okay, cool. Sort of. And there's mages. I'm assuming there's probably stuff that involves blood magic and other
magic. You
can
do blood magic. It is possible. There's different schools of magic you can go through. Like I said, I love the art. This dwarf is great. There's glowing runes and everything. There's all sorts of different things, and it gives you all sorts of information about the cultures of the world as well. So you can play a dwarf, a human, an elf. You can play a Qunari if you want. They are playable, which they sort of first introduced in Inquisition, so it's nice to carry over to the game.
Okay, sweet. And basically there's just a ton of background about the world of Dragon Age.
Oh, yeah.
If you're a fan of the games, this could be a fun book just to flip through.
In this sort of area, they get into actually how you play the game.
Okay, let's talk about this a little bit.
With the dragon die, basically 2 of your dice are one color and 1 die is another color.
Okay, 3d6 systems.
And if you roll doubles on any of those in the game, you get to do what's called stunts, sort of like extra, almost like a crit basically in D&D, where you get an extra little bump on top of what you already accomplished.
Okay.
So one example, say I'm in an argument with you, and I'm trying to convince you of my point, and I roll doubles and I get a stunt, I can add sort of a witty one-liner at the end to convince you, stuff like that. And there's social, physical, all sorts of different types of stunts, and those are listed all in the tables throughout the book and stuff.
Awesome. Let's keep going here too. Is there any kind of adventure stuff in here? Is this equivalent to like a PHB for? If we're talking about D&D, or is it more a Dungeon Master guide?
It's honestly both, and a monster manual.
And a monster manual.
Yeah,
wow.
you can look through this first sort of big section here. Here's the magic section with all the spells you can learn.
Chapter 5 is magic. Yeah.
This is sort of your player handbook area.
Okay.
And then when you get into sort of character goals and how to be a role player, you're sort of moving into the dungeon mastering section.
Okay.
And then once you get into the
kind of the background,
welcome to Thetis section, you get the background of the world, which is more for game masters and people like that.
Or if you just are really interested in the history of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it tells you all about.
There's a ton of stuff. Like, look at
Dales.
this. 176 page 176 at this point, and there's a ton more to go.
History.
Yeah.
This is where you're really starting to get into game mastering. You
Okay.
can tell right here. It tells you different types of players you might run into, how to handle them, how to run an adventure.
Beat them with a stick. Yeah. That's how you handle them. Wait, what?
Is that in here? Yeah, no. It really does. It gives you ideas, hooks for adventures, all sorts of stuff. And then as you sort of get through it,
running a campaign, tips on that. That's always super important.
One fun thing, I don't really know if I can find it specifically, but it has rules for large scale battles.
Oh.
Because in Dragon Age, in the first game at least, and they have the big huge battle at.
You're the Grey Warden.
You're the Grey Warden.
Yeah.
They have rules for mass battles like that, which are really fun. And then as you get to the back here, you get some extra maps. You do get some adventures included.
Okay.
I think it's a short adventure to start off, and then there's sort of monster rules and
so
stuff.
It's got some getting started stuff. There's great tips on GMing, character building, monsters and stuff like that.
Comes with a big, nice, fancy map of the Dragon Age world.
And if you've got all the maps in the books, you've got a nice fold-out map too. That's a really cool book, man. Yeah. And again, big, thick. It's a nice RPG. That's the core rules.
Yep.
Your PHB, your DMG, and your monster manual all in one book.
And then over there,
boom.
We have the brand new Game Master's Kit.
Boom.
Less product here to go over, of course. But you first get your nice, fancy screen, which has a great image of some Grey Wardens fighting some Darkspawn.
Yep.
Beautiful art there, which I really enjoy.
There's the Grey Warden.
Grey Wardens over there.
And this is of course, you put this on the table for everybody. And then just to show off the inside real quick.
Has all the stats you'll need.
This is always super nice to have for the Game Master. You've got the quick reference sheets.
All your weapon things. These are what I was speaking of earlier, the stunts. So, if you roll doubles on a spell, it can be more or less powerful or do special extra effects, combat stunts, social stunts, all sorts of things like that. So all the information you would need.
All the cool stuff, quick reference for the Game Master. Always super handy to have.
Speaking of quick reference, it actually comes with a couple quick reference cards for your players right here.
Oh,
similar information on here of stunts.
Okay.
And then here is about your abilities.
And the back is also just more role-playing tips for the stunts and stuff.
This one will be abilities and the focuses within those abilities you can do and different actions you can do in your turn.
These are not like cardboard. This is like some nice
laminate,
laminate print stuff. That's cool stuff right there.
And then it has a combat tracker, which is just nice to include. So you can
that is nice. You can dry erase on that.
Dry or wet erase, and it keeps track of the rounds and all that stuff.
Nice. That's actually super handy too, because if you get one of those like spell effects that's going to last multiple rounds, you can write that out.
Or if there's a timed effect to the battle. Yep.
Wow, awesome. So that is super handy, man.
Yep. And the last thing is this an adventure they included, which is a
I don't want to spoil it.
A dwarf-themed adventure. I'm not going to get too much into it.
Okay.
But it is called Buried Pass.
Okay.
It's set in the Deep Roads, which I know are a point of contention for a lot of Dragon Age players. But it's definitely a fun adventure for players. I believe it's level 7. I read it through the other day.
So you kind of want to have a campaign going and then get into the Okay. Or if you're a new DM, you can probably borrow a lot of those ideas and run whatever system you want. So.
Or you may want to start with the adventures in here and move on to there. You never know.
Go backwards. That's pretty cool, man. I like the screen again with all the handy references. The book is also really cool. I'm trying to unfold this screener here, but
I'm really excited about Green Ronin's publishing for this. They're coming out with a lot of new products for Dragon Age, which I enjoy. So
I love the Dragon Age universe too. It's a really cool game series to play around in. So cool stuff. Let's hop out for a really quick recap. Well, that was Dragon Age, the core rulebook game, and of course the DM screen. Pretty good stuff.
Yeah, no, I really enjoy it. It's again a franchise I love. So
right.
It's cool to see a really well done game like this.
Yeah, it's cool. It's always fun to play the digital version and then get some friends together and play like the pen and paper version.
Yeah, it's basically the game put to print. It's very it feels very much the same as the video game. So if you enjoyed those, this is definitely something you want.
So real quick, let's run some numbers. What's this one going to cost you?
This is going to be $59.95.
Okay.
And this is going to be $24.95.
Nice.
And again, this is sort of your player's handbook and GM guide and your monster manual sort of all in one.
Right.
And this has your screen and a nice little adventure for you.
And there's a ton of background about the world of Dragon Age and all that fun stuff. I mean, we're talking a big, thick book.
A lot of history, a lot of sort of information to help you get into the context of the story, depending on when you set it.
Right, and don't forget, this one also comes with that whole adventure too.
Yeah, the Deep Roads adventure. So
pretty cool stuff.
Yeah, these are published by Green Ronin.
Right.
In conjunction, of course, with EA and BioWare.
Right. So
definitely
fully licensed. Yep.
And like I said, they're going to be coming out with all sorts of new products. We may talk about at some point.
I hope so. I hope to see more from the Dragon Age series as it goes on. It's a lot of cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
All stuff in store right now.
Oh yeah.
Been out for a while. Brand new.
Brand new Game Master screen and adventure. Like we showed the reference cards. And again, this has been available for a little while now. So pick up both and have fun.
Go have some RPG good times.
Oh yeah.
Well, I'm AdamHarry from Bell Lost Souls.
I'm Michael from Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy.
And this has been another Tabletop Spotlight. Thanks again for watching. Have a good one. Tabletop Spotlight brought to you by Dragon's Lair Comics and Fantasy. Thanks for watching.